So welcome to HxGN Hacks. My name is Rebecca Schofstall, and the Digital Thinker team is excited to resume this weekly 15-minute series designed to help you build confidence and get more value from EAM. So each Wednesday from now through the end of June, we'll cover time-saving tips, highlight lesser-known features, share best practices, and address common questions. If you can't join us live, recordings will be available on the Digital Thinker YouTube channel, so you can catch up at your convenience. And feel free to share the registration link for the series. I'll, in just a moment, put the link in the meeting chat in case you want to share that with your teammates or colleagues or other folks that may be interested. And so for today, I'm happy to introduce Jordan Jensen. He will be leading today's session. So Jordan is a member of our consulting team and will be presenting today on tracking data. So Jordan, I'll go ahead and pass things off to you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rebecca. So let me just share my screen real quick. If you cannot see my screen, just let me know. But today I wanted to talk about R5 tracking data. So what I want to kind of discuss is what you can use this for today. Also go through an example of how I would use it today. So from my side, I tend to be more on the functional consulting side. So I work a lot with the front end of the system. What I might use R5 tracking data for is different than maybe someone on the more technical side. So essentially what R5 tracking data is, if you haven't heard of it before, think of it as a flexible staging table within HxGN EAM. So we use it to temporarily store data and pass between other processes, flex rules, integrations, background jobs. And then unlike, a table like R5 events or R5 orders, it doesn't enforce any foreign key relationships. So you're able to pass data without getting some of the, I won't say annoying error messages, but some of the error messages that you would run into if you were saying just importing the data, for example. So what I like to use R5 tracking data for is maybe updating a specific field or two on the work order screen. So say, for example, I wanted to update the scheduled end date on a work order. And I could plug in the work order, organization, and the scheduled end date. Say I have 200 or 300 work orders that I want to update. I can basically create an Excel load sheet to then record, the work orders I want to update, their organizations, and the new scheduled end dates. And I can run an upload and update those 200 or 300 scheduled end dates if I would want to. Now, I'll kind of go through the process of how we want to go about that. Today's example, what I wanted to show through is just inserting a comment. So I don't necessarily use inserting as much with R5 tracking data, because once you go through the process, especially for inserting transactional data like work orders, purchase orders, there's a lot of testing that needs to happen to make sure that there's no errors I'm bypassing with R5 tracking data that will then pop up in the process. But inserting something like a comment is usually pretty safe. But I am going to switch my screen up a little bit. So give me 1 second. And I want to show our demo environment here. So I have an example of a work order. This is just a simple work order I created in a release status. And what I want to show today is inserting a comment. So what first you need to do is you need to write a flex rule. So this is going to get a little bit technical here. but I want to show you an example of what that would look like. So what I'm doing is I am bringing in the required fields, I guess, for the R5 tracking data. This transaction type is really a 4-digit code that I can essentially customize. Back in the day, I would have to go into the tracking transaction types in my systems code screen and add whatever 4-letter code I want to use. Today, in the last few years, I've been able to test that, and I haven't needed to go in and add that. But what that transaction, code or type allows me to do is essentially differentiate between other tracking data flexes I might use. So I want to create a unique 4-letter code that I have not used before in the past. So I'm going to select this, and these 2 data fields are going to be my my work order, and I believe my what is the other field I wanted to pass in here? It is also my comment line. So when you have a comment, you want your the work order, for example, you're associating it to, plus the comment line that is going to be. And then this TKD prompt data 51, that stores a long data type. So when I'm wanting to insert a comment, for example, that's the prompt data I want to use. The other ones, I'm not sure the exact length of what you want to use, but for most fields, you're going to be updating or loading into. Your 1 through, I believe, 50 are going to be able to serve that properly. But if you're wanting to do a comment type, that's when you want to do prompt data 51. And then I am doing an insert essentially here. So here are my 8 fields that are required on the R5 add details table. And then I am using the values that are located here. So, I have my language here. I want it to print on my work order. These are default types for the add details. And then here are my both entity and system entity I'm uploading to the work orders. So what I've hard coded there is essentially I am inserting a work order comment. I've got my standard types. It's in English, and I want it to print on the work order when I do my work order printout report. Now, the other values in here are going to reference my Excel sheet. So I will bring that over here. And this is the simple part, I would say. The flex rule is going to be your most difficult part of what you're writing here, but your load sheet is actually going to be pretty straightforward. I want to map those fields that I listed out. So my transaction number, my work order number, my comment line, and my long tracking data prompt field there. So I've got my work order number, comment line, and my comment specifically. Now, if I'm doing something where I'm updating that scheduled end date, for example, I would have my unique transaction number. I'd have the work order, probably my organization I might need as well for maybe prompt data 2, and then I could use prompt data 3 for my scheduled end date if I wanted to update that. But in this case, we're going to insert a comment. So what I then need to do as well is my upload utility. And if you don't see my upload utility, let me know. I want to make sure I'm just sharing my screen, but you should see what's called, okay, perfect. What you should see is the Infor EAM upload utility. Now, this is very similar to your import utility. This is kind of, I would call it the older version of how we used to load data into EAM, but there's still a few good use cases, especially when you're loading in equipment structure, and then tracking data is the other one here. So what I need to make sure is I'm connected. This is the same way you set up your import utility, but you've got your web service URL, username, password, and your tenant ID. And then also, you want to make sure that whatever you're using here is your is an XLS document. So that is your Microsoft Excel 97 to 03, I believe, document. And if it is in an XLSX, so your standard spreadsheet, it will not be picked up by this utility. So it needs to be in that XLS format. So I'm going to pick this HxGN HAX comments load. And what it'll do is it'll create an error file for me if there are any errors to be found. What I have here, so if I load this in here, is I've got this row 2. So it takes my headers, read the first row as field names, and that is going to be what my header rows is, what I'm matching into my destination table. Then row 2, you do not need, but this is just going to error out automatically because I have headers in there. I don't have, a valid transaction number, a valid work order number. That will just error out, but I like to have that in my spreadsheets because it gives me a header that means something to me, not just like prompt data 1, I have to memorize that it's work order, for example. So, and then I'm going to have my row of data that I want to insert. So I've got my Excel sheet as comments load. I want to upload to tracking data. And this just gives you an idea of what there are for options to actually upload data into. But I'm going to select tracking data. Once you've got your fields in the upload file and your fields in destination file, you can hit auto map. And it will then match to whatever I have in my first row here in my Excel sheet. I can go ahead and then hit upload data. And it's going to go pretty fast, but it's going to say row 1, upload failed with message, unable to receive text. That's essentially that row 2 there. And then it's going to say row 2 is uploaded successfully. I can go ahead and hit done. My error file is now saved in the same folder that I was currently uploading in. And now if I go back to EAM and go to my work order screen, and I just refresh this, I'm now going to have my comment in here. So inspected equipment, reassigned to tech for follow-up. That's what I had in my Excel load sheet to load. So overall, essentially what I just wanted to show with this R5 tracking data, it's a very neat staging table. It's used a lot in integrations, especially when you're taking data out of EAM and you want to stage it and set it up for another system to then take in for it, or your middleware. But what I am able to do with it and what I like using it for is basically being able to update fields without either having to, manually go in and update 200, 300 work orders or purchase orders. I can write a flex that allows me to kind of bypass that. And what it allows me to do is also avoid having to use the import utility, especially when you're using import utility for, your work orders, your transactional data, purchase orders, work orders. Having to update those when they're actively being modified is really tricky, especially with the import utility. But this allows me to select just that one field, for example, the scheduled end date. If I wanted to update that, I know I'm only updating that single field. I'm finding it via the work order and organization. And that allows me to not have to go in and update every single field and make sure that it matches properly. This is kind of the shortcut to get around that. So if there are any questions on this, I know I'm a more kind of functional brain versus technical, so I'm happy to answer any questions if they're there. But Rebecca, that's pretty much all I had. I can go ahead and pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing today, Jordan. And thank you all for joining today's session. We're happy that we're able to bring HxGN HAX back in 2026. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in a future session, please let us know. Otherwise, we will see you next Wednesday. Take care.